Okay, well, this is a day 43 wrap-up. Not really in the woods anymore, but let me kind of tell you the story. I kind of set the table for it in my last video. So day 42 was kind of a wet, drizzly day all day, but then that night the heavens opened for hours. Honestly, I think it started like 9 o'clock at night, and it kept raining 3, 4, 5, 6. I stayed in camp till about 11 o'clock. I checked the weather forecast on my Garmin. It said that there should be clearing at about 3 p.m. And so I finally packed up, got on the trail about 1 o'clock to do about 8 or 9 miles. And the process of packing up meant that I had to strip off all my dry clothes and put on all the wet clothes from yesterday, and get on trail. Wet feet, wet clothes. Pretty. I wouldn't say they were damp; they were wet, and then put on rain gear. And so it looked okay. I hiked up over the Priest, which is a big mountain, and it was kind of just drizzly and foggy. Supposedly there's great views at the top of that mountain, but I saw none of it. My cell phone battery was low and I couldn't charge it because there's dampness in the charging port, so I didn't take any photos, and the camera I take video with is pretty sensitive to moisture too, so I kept that in my fanny pack, so there'd be no photos and videos, just my ramble today. Anyway, as I got up over the top of the Priest and started down the other side, a thunderstorm rolled in and just hammered me with rain. The trail was soggy and had puddles a lot of the places, but it just hammered me with rain. And I thought, okay, now once that passes, then it's going to clear. In fact, it actually pretended like it was going to clear for a little bit. The sun it seemed like the sky was lightening, and then another thunderstorm. Well, not really so much a thunderstorm. Another band of rain rolled in and just was dumping water on me. The trail became a stream. I was just slogging through it, slopping through it. At a certain point, once your feet are so wet, it doesn't matter anymore. I was hiking down the mountain, and there are a number of small streams I need to cross, and some of them have become significantly larger than what they usually are. The one I saw it, and it had all these cataracts and waterfalls. It was beautiful, but it's pouring down rain. And I thought, well, we're just going to go along beside this stream because it's too big. But lo and behold, I had a stream crossing. So it ended up being not near as bad as what I thought it was going to be. But I had to take 6 or 8 steps across. The water was running pretty fast, and I stabilized myself with trekking poles as I found each new foothold, and I kind of got across. And the rain just continued and hard. And I'm sloshing down the trail, and I finally get to Route 56, which is the road that goes by Crabtree Falls, and it's still raining. And my choice then at that point was to hike on 3 more miles to a shelter and set up in a pouring rain, or to try to do something about it. So I saw a group of kayakers who had been running the Ty River because it was up, and I asked them how much rain we had gotten over the last 24 36 hours, and one of them said between 6 and 8 inches. And so the Ty River, instead of being this nice gentle little river, was just this massive whitewater torrent. And the guy said it was class 4 rapids. And so as I talked to the guys, and I said, do you know where I can go to get dry, get in out of the rain? And most of them didn't have any help. The one guy said, well, I live in Waynesboro. I'm going back to Waynesboro. I'll take you to Waynesboro. So I really didn't want to hop off trail. It's kind of feels like defeat, but I knew that the forecast for tomorrow was also rain, and that it was just really wearing on my psyche. So I finally took the guy up and asked him to take me to Waynesboro. He dropped me off at a Dollar General, and Linda came and picked me up. So I'm taking a 0 day tomorrow to let the rain blow through, because there's been so much rain in that area. It's like it's just east of us, and somehow the rain totals they've gotten there compared to what we've gotten here in Harrisonburg are 2 or 3 times. it just and even the weather forecasts I were getting, weren't correct. The rain just kept coming. So being wet for a long period of time kind of wears on your psyche. So I hopped off feeling a little bit defeated, but yet as I looked at it and the way I felt, if I would have tried to press onto that shelter 3 more miles, it probably would have been another hour and a half, 2 hours hike. That would have put me in camp at 7:30. It was almost dark, and if it would have been raining and trying to set up, that's a whole ordeal. So I have to come off and take a zero, get dried out, warmed up, and whatever, and try to take a shot at it again. Not tomorrow. I'll take a zero tomorrow, but the day after that, and then hopefully hike that into Waynesboro. So I guess that sometimes you really need to know your limits and just go with it. The really cool thing was I had prayed about it before I left camp, and I felt like the Lord said to go. And then I was miraculously provided this ride to Waynesboro. A guy who didn't mind a wet hiker coming into his truck because he was a kayaker and he had been wet and he was sitting in his truck. And so and then I called Linda to ask if she'd come pick me up, and she'd been having a rough day. And so it was just I think it was a God thing all around, that it all worked out. I get to go back. I don't mind hiking in the rain, but when you get several days of it with no let up and you have to set up, it just wears on you. The worry was that the things I had that needed to stay dry, that I keep them dry, and I did. I kept them dry that night, and I got them packed up and dry, and when I brought them home, they were damp from humidity, but they weren't wet. So I succeeded in doing that. And I hiked up and over the Priest, and the downhill from the Priest was really rough, and it made it especially rough in the rain. I took my first spill on the way down the Priest. It was a little small, and my foot slipped a little bit, and I lost my balance backward and sat down plop right in the mud of the trail. And so it just was 3 or 4 miles of picking down through rocks and roots and a sloppy trail. And by the time I got to the bottom, my legs were just totally shot. They were feeling like jelly. And then I would have had another 3 miles, which is about 1,000-foot elevation gain to the shelter. If I would have known that I got to the shelter and the weather would break and I could set up in the dry, at least for the rain that was going to come the next day, I might have given it a shot. But I hadn't. I'd conserved food for the day because I thought I might sit in camp all day and try to hike the next day, and I had enough food for those days and some extra snacks, so I didn't eat any breakfast. And then I didn't really eat a lot of snacks because it's hard to eat snacks when it's pouring rain. It's hard to stop. You want to just keep going. So kind of got in a calorie deficit, I think, and I hadn't slept well because of all the rain. And so yeah, all the reasons why I think it was the right way to get off. So anyway, I wish I could show you some pictures. There were some really pretty things, especially the streams when they were up, but I didn't have the battery, and I didn't have the mental energy to do it. So I'm giving you a wrap up. So that's really my summarization of day 43. Glad you guys are with me, and I'll keep taking you along on the trail. I'll be back out there soon.